In Chapter 9, we're going to talk about periodic properties of the elements. And I think this quote from Isaac Asimov is insightful. Beginning students of chemistry often think of the science as a mere collection of disconnected data to be memorized by brute force. Not at all. Just look at it properly and everything hangs together and makes sense. The problem is that you have to learn enough that you can begin to see how it all fits together and makes sense. But this is one of the reasons that I really enjoy chemistry and did not enjoy biology. I only took it in high school, but there's just a lot of memorizing things, and yeah, they all work together, but you're not really talking about how they all work together that much. You have to learn all this other stuff first. So maybe if I'd gone farther, but I found biochemistry much more interesting. Anyway, so first we'll talk about the development of the periodic table. So Dmitri Mendeleev was looking at the elements that existed at his time and trying to figure out, how can we organize these? People are discovering more elements. Okay. Yeah, that one's just air, thankfully. But yeah, it hisses sometimes. Yeah. Squirrel? So, people were discovering more elements, and so they're getting to be more and more elements, and they didn't have a periodic table like this. They just, had random information. So he's looking for patterns, and he saw that the patterns repeated, the properties repeated, when he put the elements in order of increasing mass. And no, that's somewhere else. So he used those patterns and was able to predict properties of undiscovered elements. There are two places where atomic mass order doesn't fit the order of the other properties, and so he followed the other properties. An example is tellurium and iodine. If we find these on the periodic table 52 and 53, we see that tellurium weighs 127.6, and yet it is before iodine in the periodic table. Iodine weighs 126.9. But are the elements arranged by increasing mass? No. They're arranged by increasing number of protons, right? Well, they didn't know what protons were, but he observed these patterns, which is pretty cool. So he predicted the properties of gallium and germanium, which were discovered later. And his predictions about, atomic mass, melting point density, formula of the oxide, formula of the chloride, were just really quite remarkable. So Mendeleev's periodic law allows us to predict what the properties of an element are based on its position in the table. And that's what Mendeleev did, predicting the properties of undiscovered elements. But being a law, it does not explain why this pattern happens or exists. Quantum mechanics is the theory that explains why these periodic trends exist. When we know why, we are better able to predict what is going to happen.